Welcome, revolutionaries. And before we get going, we want to talk about what's coming this Monday, October 28th, is the first day of the two workshops, virtual workshops, which are titled Leading the Experience Revolution. And Dave and I will be building exceptional journeys for customers and employees. So we have day one is next Monday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., October 28th, Eastern Standard Time, where you and up to four other leaders from your team, we're going to be working on the customer journey mapping, creating your signature experience. This is critical. Every great brand does it. If you've done it, whether it's with us or yourself, and it's more than 6 months old, you're ideal for this. If you've never done it, well, you got to do it. It is critical to do it. So next Monday, we're going to be working on the customer journey map and creating your signature experience that will remove variation and employee roulette, department roulette, and location roulette. Dave, you want to talk about the following Monday?
Yeah, absolutely. So day two, we get right back at it. That's November 4th, same time, 12 to 3 in the afternoon Eastern time. And this time we're going to turn the focus internally. So as John mentioned, you can have up to four people join you. You could have the same four people for day two. You may want to make a couple of tweaks and maybe have some folks that are in HR or more internally focused. But however you want to do it, day two is really, really important because we look to journey map your employee experience, which is a gap that a lot of organizations have. Companies typically don't do this. They want to be a best place to work, et cetera, but they don't go through the process of making sure that their leaders are leading the way that they want to and doing that consistently inside the organization. So we'll talk a lot about what this entails in that session, but really the goal is to reduce turnover, to increase your employee morale, and actually instill purpose in your team. And those things are so important to organizations today. So I'm really looking forward to day two. And along the way, if you join us for day one and day two, you get some resources. So we'll be talking about real life examples, showing you how to take this back and implement it yourself. So we'll give you the tools to do that. There'll be a digital workbook so you can follow along in the sessions, but also for notes. And so you have that to keep with you. And then also some real-time coaching during the event. And then also after the event, we're going to have a session where we chat with you, and it's led by John and myself. As if you're watching this on a screen, you can see the picture of us. We'll be your host for both sessions, and we're really looking forward to it.
So here's the QR code. And you can go to thedjuliusgroup.com/live stream. You're going to join a great deal. So let's get into it, Dave. I probably say this all the time, but creating a customer experience action statement is one of my most favorite things to do with clients. How about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I love it. It's one of those things we normally do it first, John, as you know, in our consulting. So sometimes there's some skepticism coming into the room. Why am I here? All those things. But man, people walk out of that room after that session, they're pumped, they're ready to go, and it does such a great job of instilling that sense of purpose across the entire organization.
Yeah, and world-class organizations, customer experience organizations all have a customer experience action statement. It's their North Star. It's a clear call to action, what every employee should be intentionally doing every time they interact with a customer, coworker, stranger, another human being. It is critical that you have this. As Dave's going to get in, as an entrepreneur, the last thing I cringe when someone brings up another statement. We have enough and our employees can't recite them word for word, but as an entrepreneur and learning from the world-class customer service organizations we've worked with, if you want your employees to know anything, it's this one. Purpose and mission are great, but they're not actionable. The customer experience action statement is actionable.
Absolutely, it is. And as you mentioned, John, we hear it all the time too. We already have a mission, we have a purpose. Do we really need another statement? But here's one of the reasons that I love an action statement and why it's so important. And I'll tell you, when we roll an action statement out with an organization, when I'm there maybe a month or two down the road, and if I ask employees, what's your mission statement, and they're not really sure, I'm okay with that. If they're not really sure of all the purpose statements or the core values, I'm okay with that too. I want them to know this action statement. This is the one that makes a difference. So there's some things that we hear all the time. We have statements, and that's very true, but here's the difference. Mission statements are hugely important, especially to senior leadership, right, as they guide the organization. But really what the mission statement is at the end of the day, it's a big goal, right? It's who we want to be. It's who we're trying to become as an organization. And it's not necessarily actionable in an interaction, in one interaction or two interactions. You get that over time, right? So that's not actionable. Same thing with a purpose statement. While it's super important and instills that sense of purpose and it's why we exist. So they're important that we have them, whether it's a purpose statement or core values. They're not necessarily actionable either, especially in the moment, in that one interaction. You can achieve it over time. And here's where the difference is when we create an action statement, when we're talking about something we have to do every single time that we're coming in contact with whomever our customer is, that is actionable, right? When we're focused on that action statement, we are doing something that is actionable, that produces results, and those results in turn actually help us achieve our mission statement and our purpose statement more quickly. So it's truly another tool in the toolbox to help us live up to those things that we're trying to achieve, but also with that focus of doing it each and every time to help us achieve just that. And so on the next slide here, John, I know we have an example from one of our favorite clients, Key Bank, and here's their mission. Their mission was to be the best bank in the United States. So that's their goal, right? There's a lot of good competition in that marketplace. And they're a big bank and they're in multiple states. They're not everywhere, but in multiple states in the US. And they're trying to become the best bank in the United States. And they're working very diligently at that. And they've made some huge steps in the right direction to do just that. Then you
Well,
look at
if I'm a teller or a mortgage lender, what does that mean to me today on the, 15 to 30 people I may be coming in contact with?
right, other than being able to brag about it, that really doesn't affect me all that much in my day to
Right.
day. Absolutely. And then KeyBank also has their purpose, which is we help our clients and communities thrive. And as someone who is a client of theirs and also lives in one of their large communities where they're based here in Cleveland, Ohio, I can tell you they do this, right? They help me as an individual, as a customer. They also are involved in our community. But again, it's that big sense of purpose. And what does that mean in a single interaction if I walk into my local branch and interact with a teller there? Maybe not much to them, right? Those are big things that are happening. Maybe there's a sense of pride, but it may not have an effect on me in my day-to-day life as an employee of the organization. So we worked with them to create their CX action statement. Now, John, I know you had a fantastic 2-day session with them when we created this. Do you want to share their action statement?
Yeah, it's to make every moment matter, right? Make every moment matter. And your action statements can't be too pie in the sky. I was working with a financial institution last week in LA, and we were doing this, and some of their first drafts was literally to change people's lives. And so I always say, you have to look at your action statement and take it to the smallest interaction, which maybe I might be calling and getting someone on the phone and saying, "What time are you open till today?" Right? We're not going to change someone's life in that saying we're open till 5, we're open till 6 p.m., right? But we can make every moment matter by saying, Mr. Murray, we're open till 5. Is there anything I can do for you? Maybe I could do it, over the phone or digitally where you don't have to come in. Or can I have something ready by the time you come in? Do you need directions? Do you, yada yada yada? And it's a pleasant short moment. And that's the really important thing, is to be able to take it to the smallest interactions that may only be 10 seconds. Where's the restroom? Something. And obviously the more pressing moments. So I love that. We could talk about this a little bit later, but I love their internal branding is just so great, right? I think they call it moments matter.
Mhm.
Just and they have a newsletter and stories, and it's all branded around moments matter. This one I love, Dave. We both worked with them, the Charlotte Police Department,
Mhm.
right? Leave a positive impression that will earn a genuine thank you. um Now, for most businesses, I would say that's a great customer experience action statement. And it's a client experience action statement. It is a guest experience action statement, whatever you may call them, right? A patient experience action statement. But if you think about this, uh, that's a hard thing to do when you're the police department, because a strong percentage of your interactions are not positive. You might have to be writing someone a ticket. You might have to be citing someone, for the way they parked, or going over their house for, who knows. And so to leave a positive impression that earn a genuine thank you, that's hard, but that's something that they are obsessed with, is being at their best when most people are at their worst. So the one thing is why a customer experience action statement is so important, is because most people think it's about the results, the outcome of what you do. And I guess unless we're talking about heart surgery, I really don't think that's true in most cases. Meaning, if we go to a great steakhouse tonight, Dave, what's the best steakhouse in Cleveland? Red?
Probably red, I would
Yeah,
say.
Red. Yeah, great steakhouse. Pricey, very pricey. And if me and you go, and we take Tracy and Claudia, and all we get is our steaks cooked the way, I like it medium rare. You might like them, medium. Who knows? But if that's all we get, is probably not worth the justification of paying those prices, right? If when we called up, it was kind of a debacle scheduling an appointment, making reservations. When we checked in, they didn't have us. One of us had to keep on asking the waitress for gluten-free options, or my vegetables, or my A1 steak sauce, or whatever we were asking for. And so, customer loyalty is not about outcomes, because typical businesses will do the outcomes, good businesses, and that's who we're all competing with, is our good competitors here. But it's about the micro experiences, right? How consistent are they? Do they know their job? Do they personalize it? Do they recognize if you're a return customer, a VIP? And do they, treat you differently in a good way if you're a new customer, meaning there's more handholding, more explanation? How easy are you to do business with? So all of those things. The other thing is carpe momento, right? Seize the moment. We want our employees, customer facing employees, focus is to be on providing a positive experience on every interaction, face to face, click to click, or ear to ear. And that's what a customer experience action statement does, and we'll give you some examples of that. But it's not just, oh, I nailed it with my 10:30 today, so I'm doing my job. Well, what about your 9:15 and your 11:45, right? I mean, we got to do it every time, and in the most mundane transactions, and the most important.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, John, we have a couple of examples. So let's start with some great ones. Walt Disney, their action statement at Disney theme parks, to create one of the most special memories in a person's life. Now, if you've been to Disney, you've probably experienced that. It was probably pretty special. Sometimes the adults in the room, when I ask that question, they also say it was one of the most expensive moments in my life,
Yeah.
but it makes an impact. And here's what Disney does so well. So obviously they have a little help, right? If they're talking about making memories, they have princesses, they have characters, they have people that are actually going to help build those memories. But what Disney does so well when we talk about living up to their action statement, when they talk about create one of the most special memories in a person's life when they're actually living up to that. And what they do so well is they make sure that everyone in their organization understands how to make that actionable in their world. And so that is why at the end of a 5-day trip, you see families taking pictures with the shuttle bus driver that got them to and from the parks every day that week, or housekeeping leaves that Mickey Mouse towel all wrapped up and looking great on your across your bed for your little kids because they know you have youngsters even though you've never seen them face to face. Right? So everyone learns what they can do to live up to making that memory. And it goes a long way. And all action statements, I feel, do this, John. It goes a long way in living up to Walt Disney's famous quote when Walt said, "We don't put our people in Disney, we put Disney in people, our people." And
Love it.
that's one of the things that they do so well. They make sure that everyone understands that their goal is to make memories, create those special memories, and they have the tools to do just that.
And the importance of, at Disney, it's more obvious, is being on stage versus off stage, right?
Yeah.
And we all have that. If a customer can see or hear you, you're on stage, even if you're not, directly communicating with them, and it's still part of it. One of the times when Starbucks hired us, it was to help them with their customer experience, actually create a new one. And so I asked what was the existing one, and it was to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, one neighborhood at a time. And it's pretty good, but
Yeah.
it really isn't actionable, right? If you or I come in today, order a venti soy latte, get it in, 90 seconds with a smile, does that mean, they inspired or nurture the human spirit? No, it's too big. That can happen over, like you said, a course of 200 positive experiences, a couple of years, but that doesn't happen. So, the guidelines we go with helping a company create a customer experience action statement is it has to match ATOM, ATOM, and that means it has to be actionable, trainable, observable, and measurable. And so something you want to think about is, when an acid test of, like, years changing, someone's life. Well, now picture them in that call for 30 seconds, or 3 minutes, or, just, making a simple interaction, ringing someone out.
Mhm.
You want to be able to say yes or no, in that, reading someone's email, reply. You want to be able to say yes or no, and to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time, is not a yes or no thing. Now, it's important. It was Howard Schultz's words, moved it up to their purpose. But the customer experience action statement for Starbucks, which was on every green apron for well over a decade, every green apron in every Starbucks location, in every city, in every country, all over the world, in every language they were in, is make every moment right. Very similar to key banks, but it's about the moment. And we're gonna, go into that a little more, in a little bit. But the reason why, another thing that's unique about your customer experience, actually, but different from your mission, core values, and purpose, is you don't put this on your website, you don't advertise, you don't put a sign in the lobby. The only people you advertise this to is your employees. And that's why I was on the inside of the green apron. So their employees would see it several times a day when they're taking on and off their green apron. And so we always say, what's going to be your green apron after you get it right? How are you going to advertise that? And so my favorite quote is by Howard Schultz, the former chairman and a CEO for decades for Starbucks, and I just love this. We are at our best when we're creating enduring relationships and personal connections. When we're fully engaged, we connect with, laugh with, and uplift the lives of our customers, even if it's just for a few moments. It's about the human connection. Love that.
Yeah, I love that too. I always tell people that quote really amazes me because when you think about it, at the end of the day, you know, they're just selling coffee, right? But that's what they're focused on. And that's what makes their experience so unique because all their team members are focused on making that human connection. So it's really, really powerful. Here's a couple other examples, especially from some um, well-known brands. So the Ritz-Carlton, this is probably one of the originals when we talk about action statements. Ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. It's a reminder, again, as John mentioned, these are internal, right? And so it's just for their team members. So we're not putting this over the front door saying, hey, come stay with us. It's a reminder that we are ladies and gentlemen, just like the fine folks that we are serving every day. And we want to deliver them that experience. And it's something that they have had in place for many, many years. And they talk about on a regular basis and live up to it. And obviously, the experience of the Ritz-Carlton is different than many other hotels out there, and this is one of the primary reasons.
And it's measurable, right? Dave, if you're a valet or, the front desk receptionist or housekeeping, I can see if you're, behaving like a gentleman, and, if you're treating the guest like a lady and or gentleman, right? So it is actually measurable.
It is. It is. Here's another great one. Chick-fil-A, their action statement is every guest is cared for unlike anywhere else. And here's the interesting thing about this one. This is very measurable because as a consumer, you can feel it when you walk in. Um, they are obviously in the quick service industry. Some people love Chick-fil-A, some people don't love Chick-fil-A. There's a little bit of a political lightning rod these days with the organization. However, whether you like them or not, if you've walked into a Chick-fil-A before, you can feel this. There is a difference between them and every other quick service restaurant out there. There is a noticeable difference, and this is one of the primary reasons because they are focused. All their team members are focused on living up to this every single time they have that opportunity, every single time they interact with you. And again, it goes back to Walt Disney's quote because Chick-fil-A practices the same thing. They make sure that all of their team members understand this and know how to live up to this before they're ever actually in front of a customer.
A couple things I love about I love the term cared for. You can probably see the next 5 or 6 customer experience action statements come out with that because I'm like all like into cared for. Like,
Yeah,
are you making, the other person you're interacting with feel cared for, and then making that obviously, how do you make someone feel cared for? But the other thing I like about Chick-fil-A is they don't say unlike Taco Bell, Burger King, McDonald's, and any other fast food. They say anywhere because they know that our competition is whoever you can compare us to. And if you go to Chick-fil-A for lunch today, you're not then running to any other fast food in the next several hours to compare it. You're finishing up your errand, stopping at the dry cleaning, meeting a friend for a coffee, going to a doctor's appointment, and they want to create that Chick-fil-A hangover. That why don't they care for me like Chick-fil-A does?
right. Here's another one that I added today because I love this one. Image first, create a positive moment with every interaction. Now, Image First, if you're not aware, they are a healthcare laundry service. So they wash everything in a hospital system from the doc's scrubs to the sheets that you sleep on in a bed. They handle all of those things. And there's action statement, create a positive moment with every interaction. And here's the thing, as John mentioned, they want it to be very, very basic. They wanted to focus on those each and every individual interaction that you're having, but they realize their team members have a lot of interactions, especially on the delivery side of things. Yes, they might run into the hospital administrator, who in their case is their primary customer, which is very, very important, but they're also walking by patients in the waiting room or maybe patients in the emergency room. And so they're having all these other interactions. And so they want to make sure that their team members are focused on each and every one. And one of the cool things that Image First did when they first rolled this out, they realized that just because you drove a truck and you were a delivery driver for one of their competitors doesn't mean that you can come to Image First and do this as well, right? So they actually changed the name of the position. So they don't no longer hire delivery drivers on their routes. They hire client advocates. And so they're hiring people that not only deliver all of the products, but also are actively looking to make those positive moments, to make those positive connections with everyone they come in contact with. So in some cases, it's a different employee than they used to hire. But again, they want to live up to their action statement, create a positive moment with every interaction with everyone they come across. To your point, John, always being on stage, whether that's actually in a hospital or if they're running into a store and they still have their uniform on, they're always focused on creating that positive moment with every interaction they have. And Henson First, they're personal injury attorneys that we worked with. And theirs was really interesting. Their action statement, creating peace of mind one moment at a time. And here's how they landed on this. They get asked in the personal injury world, they get asked a lot of questions from their clients that, quite honestly, they just don't have the answers to yet, right? Questions like, how long is this going to take?
Am I
Or,
going to win my case? How
yeah,
much
how
is our
much,
settlement going to be?
right? How much
And,
am I
and
going to
like to
get?
your Dave, your point, Dave, their I don't know, customer client experience cycle is it could be 2 years from the
Right.
moment you call them, until that case gets settled. And that might not even be the average. And so there's a lot of anxiety for those 2 years. And so clients are constantly calling, can you give me an update? And nothing's changed in the past 3 weeks.
Right. So what they did with their action statement is they want to make sure that all of their team members are focused on what can they provide to that client that will create that peace of mind. We don't have all the answers down the road yet, but what do we know? Because we're experts in our industry or because the information that we have at our fingertips, what do we know? What can we do to create peace of mind to make sure this client knows they've come to the right place, that we've got them, that we're going to handle this as well as it could be handled and make sure that we're fighting for them. And so that's really what they want to focus on each and every interaction they're having, especially because so many of their interactions, they just don't have the answers yet.
Dave, remind me. Next part, we're going to get into pillars. And I didn't keep Henson First in here, but remind me about to talk about one of their pillars, which pillars are so important. Well, we'll get into that. And so finally, the last example of just a customer experience action statement is ours, the DiJulius Group, and it is that Carpe Momento. It's our client experience action statement. Carpe Momentum just reminds us that every interaction we have with clients, potential clients, you name it. It might be an email. Hey Dave, can we change your AV time tomorrow from 7:30 to 8 a.m. or it might be the opposite to 7:30 to 7 a.m. Right? And own that moment, and say, Brittany, certainly it'd be my pleasure. I will see you at 7 a.m. instead of yes, no, I mean, if we're paying you, you can't come in a little earlier, you can't stay for lunch to meet our top franchisees or whatever that is. It's easier to think about, when you're in the 45-minute meeting or haircut or dentist looking at your teeth. I mean, hopefully they're more focused then, but it's also, I mean, every opportunity we communicate with someone over the phone, via email, face to face is an opportunity for us to own that moment and have them feel good about it, that they made the right decision by selecting us, your company. The customer experience action statement is what your team has to do every time. I would argue that the pillars, which are the how, is just as important, if not more important, right? So if you think about, a generic one, a customer experience action statement, make customers happy, right? All right, that still the best one still needs how. How do we make what makes our customers happy? And world-class companies remove personal interpretations. And just by saying make people feel cared for, execute carpe momento, be the best part of a customer's day. Those have personal interpretation. So the pillars tell you how. And so we always have three pillars. And the three pillars stand for three things. So this is really important. You want your pillars, your three pillars, to represent each one of these things that we're going to share with you. Call them something different. But the first one is your professional expertise, that whoever I'm dealing with over the phone, a call center, face to face, whatever that person is professional, quality, tech accurate, operationally proficient, but smart, right? Is not a bumbling idiot where I start losing my trust that they're not going to schedule this right, or they're not going to, do my taxes right, or whatever that is, that I'm going to be holding my breath. That's very important. That's very important. I like to say, if I go into, Starbucks and order a venti soy latte and I get it within 90 seconds exactly I ordered it, um, but from someone with an attitude,
Hmm.
yeah, no, that's not going to make price irrelevant, convenience irrelevant. So that brings us to the second one, which, I like to say, I don't even like customer interaction. I like how we make them feel, right? The emotional connection. We're present, you feel heard, you feel seen, you feel cared for. And now, I also don't want to go into Starbucks and have my barista that I go into locally, who knows me, or hopefully knows me, says, "Hey, Mr. DiJulius, how's your three boys? Where you been traveling?" But every time he hands me my drink, it's like Russian roulette. He didn't get it right again today, right? I want both. I want it to be really, really good. And this is for anyone I'm talking to, right? I want them to be really, really smart at their job, accurate, proficient, in a timely manner. And I want them to make me feel like a human being, not venti soy latte, next, guy in the green shirt, whatever that may be. And then the third pillar you want to represent in the how is the above and beyond pillar. Now that can't happen every time, but we want those antennas up to look for, and the antennas are it's just about exceeding opportunity, being proactive, doing the unexpected. It doesn't have to be something heroic. It could just be, that Dave has a suit on and he's in front of you, and maybe you don't even know him, but you just bring up some, oh, a busy day today, important day, or you do know Dave because he comes in often, so you have that drink ready. That's an above and beyond, because we can't do that with everyone that comes in. So one of my favorite ones is our first business, John Roberts Spa, to be the best experience in our guest day. They've actually changed that to be the best experience in others' day. So it makes sure it's not just about the external customer, it's about each other. It's about the UPS guy that shows up with an order. And I said earlier, that we don't want it too big. And that may seem big, to be the best experience, the best moment in someone's day. Well, you got to think about, what most people, what we're competing with in the salon environment, right? It's mostly women, professional women, who have a crazy busy day at home, kids, work, rush hour, they're demanding customers, they're demanding bosses, quotas, aging parent, all that. So if at the end of the day, your haircut, manicure, pedicure wasn't the best part of a typical day, we're doing something really, really wrong. But this is more to talk about the three pillars. Now, John Roberts is know more, love more, give more. No more is no one better be smarter than us at our job. And we better make sure, and we better be articulating it every time we communicate with a guest. Love more. It used to be care more. Um, so if that's too strong of a word, I like love more, love what you do, love who you do it with, and love who you do it for, and be passionate about what you do, and the person you're serving. If you love what you do, and people, it's going to show, and you're going to make them present. It's going to be about them. It's not going to be about my 1030. And then give more is the above and beyond component. Look for ways to go above and beyond. Remember things about them. Remember the last time you spoke to them, they were having surgery, or their son applied to Ohio State University, and you can follow up with that.
Here's an example from Starbucks, their action statement that we already shared, make every moment right. And their three pillars are connect, personalize, and own. As you can see on the screen here, they go into a little bit of detail about what each one of those means. So there's a little bit of an overview of what that means. So Connect speaks to the key driver of friendliness. So it's their focus on being friendly. When you walk in, they're saying hello before they even have a chance to take your order. They're making sure that they're focused on their interaction as they're taking your order. And then, of course, when you pick up and leave, right? So and they break it down into very simple terms. A connection could be a smile, a kind word, or a small favor done. But in all cases, we must connect. That's crucial to them in their business. Their second pillar is personalize, and they say personalize speaks to the key driver of taste. Right? We take pride in personalizing our beverages to exact recipe standards and then carefully personalizing the perfect treat each and every time. So personalized is all about making it right for that customer, making sure that customer is satisfied. And then their last
Well,
pillar,
and back to that, Dave,
yep,
personalization is their kind of expertise or
yes.
quality. There's 170,000 ways you can order your Starbucks drink, and they will, Dave Murray has his own little unique, order that's different from Johnny Julius or Tracy Murray, and that's, they will, personalize, they will customize it.
The other thing they did with their pillars, which is interesting, so in their case, personalized, which a lot of us here personalize, and we think that's more customer facing.
Yeah,
But
right,
in their world, it definitely speaks to expertise because it talks
right,
about all their products, all the things that they're able to create.
exactly.
And what they did was they flip-flopped and they put Connect First, which is their hospitality or customer facing one,
How you make me feel, pillar.
and
Yeah.
then get to their expertise. And the interesting thing is we work with a lot of organizations that do choose to make it in that order because in the case of a sales organization, for example, a lot of times they'll make the case that if we're not connecting, if we're not getting through and personalizing or whatever it is to make that
Being
connection
human
initially,
first,
right? If we don't do that, you're never going to see our expertise. We're not going to
they
get
yeah,
that
yeah,
far.
you're just another salesperson, so to speak, trying to, have me buy your product, until you get humanized and, oh, we both are from, Aurora, or we both have kids in baseball. Now you're a human being. You're not a salesman just trying to up my order.
Right. And then their last pillar, own it. That's their above and beyond. And it speaks to trusting our partners. Right. So we give partners permission. The partners in their world are their team members. We give partners permission to do what's right for our customers and hold them accountable to ensure each customer's visit is extraordinary. So this is all about their team members being empowered to go above and beyond. If they see a customer take a sip of their drink and they make a funny face, it's not what they expected, they don't love it, they have the opportunity to say, let me, you don't like it, let me make that for you again. What didn't you like? What can we change? So they are empowered to do those things, and it speaks to it in this pillar.
Absolutely.
Here's
Love
key
key
banks.
banks.
We shared their action statement already, make every moment matter. And with their pillars, they wound up with head, heart, and hero. There's a little bit of a growing trend that we're seeing out there where emojis or symbols are being used more
Yeah.
and more as emojis become more mainstream in our communication. And that's what KeyBank did to represent their middle pillar, in their case, their customer pillar. But they start with head, right? They're focused on being the best at what they do. As John mentioned before, the smartest person in the room when it comes to banking, whether it's being a teller, being a loan officer, whatever your role is, you're the most educated, you have all the continuing education, all the certifications, you are the best at what you do to advise that client or help that client get through the process of whatever it is they're trying to do. Then we move to the heart pillar, and that's all about them caring for their customers and caring for their communities. If you remember, that's part of their purpose statement as well. And they want to make sure that they are caring for. So this really does kind of symbolize, going back to that Chick-fil-A model, kind of symbolize that cared for feeling that we've talked about a few times today. And that's what they're focused on every time they have that interaction. And their third pillar, hero, is all about where can they be the hero for their clients? Where can they come through? What is it they can do for that particular client? Whether it's getting the job done for them, or maybe the client doesn't have all the information they need, giving them the advice that they need to be successful in whatever they're trying to do with you. So it's really their focus to make sure that you are doing everything you can for that client when you have that opportunity.
And when you're making pillars, if it works, the iteration of head, heart, hero, all H's makes it easier to remember.
Right.
And Dave, you speak to the next one, which is a lot of people's favorites, talking about, how easy the pillars are to remember, but they apply perfectly.
They really do. And so this is from Superior Glove. They are a glove manufacturer in Ontario, Canada. They create gloves both for warmth but also for safety. So they work with a lot of industrial organizations where they're supplying those safety gloves. And so their action statement, delivering a superior service experience. So it's a little play on words there because Superior is their company's name. But their team members know what that means. They know that how it means to individualize the interaction and focus on that interaction. Their three pillars, as John mentioned, are very popular when we share them. Know it, show it, and own it. Know it is all about that you have to have the product knowledge. And something interesting about their business, because they do have instances where they may have things on back order, and back order can be a big problem because if an organization can't get their safety gloves on time, they may have to shut down a plant for a
Yeah.
while until those arrive. So it's a big deal. So when they talk about know it, not only do their reps know their own inventory backwards and forwards, they know a lot of their competitors' inventory as well. They know what to slot in. If we don't have something available, but you need this to stay open on Friday, we're going to send you these. We'll order, we'll get them sent to you. And you come back to us next time and we'll have more for you. So that's how they practice know it. Show it is all about what they're delivering to their customer when they're practicing know it. So it's talking about being friendly, empathizing, personalizing whenever you can, and then commitment to that customer, commitment to getting it done right, getting them what they need, and then own it. Their last pillar, their above and beyond pillar, is all about owning that experience. They're empowered to do what they need to do to make it right. They're accountable to do what they need to do to make it right. They're looking to anticipate needs. So making those proactive phone calls if they know that they don't have all the product that someone ordered, as opposed to them just getting the shipment and then realizing that day that they don't have everything. And then fix it. When they do have a problem, such as a back order or whatever that is, they're empowered to go ahead and do what they need to do to make it right.
And the last one, I want to share is a cool one. We worked with the athletics of Ohio State, right? And so, their customer is not only the student athlete, but it's the family, the parents. And so, think about when they're recruiting a blue chip. If Ohio State's recruiting a blue chip, that probably means everyone in the country is recruiting that same person. So, how are you going to stand out? And so their customer experience action statement or athlete experience action statement is called building life champions, and how is through academics, character, and athletics. And athletics is third for a reason, because everyone else is probably recruiting a blue chip prospect, saying we're going to help you be an NCAA champ, we're going to help you get drafted in the pros, all those things. We have the greatest coaching and schedule and all that. So when they start off with academics, that we're going to make sure that we have a 92% graduation rate of our athletes, and we're also going to make sure that we develop their character and and things like that. And oh, by the way, we have a pretty good track record for winning and drafts and all that. It really helps select. Some parents might be, yeah, that's all good. What about, is my son going to start, and is he, will he get, money, and will he likelihood of getting drafted? And if that's all the parent is focused on, it kind of could be an indicator of what the child's going to be like, where if someone values academics and character as well, then it's a good indication of what the child is going to be like. One thing that we love to an exercise that kind of gets you going and primed for this. This is a long event. It's not just an hour exercise. We're giving you a high level, but these three questions that you want to kind of define that kind of helps you going on the track of what your customer experience action statement should be is after coming in contact with you, which is anyone on your team, how do you want your customer feel emotionally every time? No excuses, right? And you want to go into detail of what that looks like. The second question is, how do you want the customer to describe their interaction with you? So this is kind of starting with your 5-star Yelp review and working backwards. All right, how do you intentionally do that? And then the last one is, what would it take for you to be the best moment in your customer's day? And again, we can't stress enough that the customers. It doesn't have to be finding the woman in the parking lot ready to give birth, right? It doesn't have to be driving a package over state lines to get it there. Those are great, but those aren't going to commonly appear. It's about remembering something about them. It's about remembering, hey Dave, I know your daughter, or yeah, your daughter was looking for, a college. Did she settle on one? And remembering stuff about them that just, surprise and delights them. It doesn't have to be heroic. Dave, any final thoughts on creating a customer experience action statement?
I do have one because I don't want to let this slip. You wanted to bring up
Thank
Henson
you.
First and one of their pillars.
Yeah, so their expertise pillar is called Warrior.
Mm.
And so the reason where they came up with it is I said what I think of my, lawyer, and ever since, I was, probably in my early 20s and starting off in this small business, trying to keep their doors open and making sure we don't get taken advantage of by, I don't know, landlords and agreements and all these things that, could really derail our success or put us out of business is, I always thought of my attorney as my big brother. And so if I was walking into a neighborhood or a playground that wasn't mine, that no kid was going to mess with me because my older brother's behind me, right? And they really loved that. And that's where they came up with the warrior, that a warrior, before they go to battle, whatever battle may be, not necessarily court, but it can be court, is they make sure they're prepared from, how they dress, the armor, the equipment, and every, there's an old adage that every great war is won long before it's ever fought, right? In preparation. So I love when companies, customize their pillars to what their world, and every company should and probably does, like that. So yeah, that was something I really liked.
Yeah, that's great. And one closing thought on the action statement, John, from my perspective, is that reminder that your action statement is for everybody in your organization. It doesn't matter if they're customer facing, if they're not, because it really instills that sense of purpose. And one of my favorite action statement stories goes back to Superior Glove, with their action statement and their great pillars. When they first started working with us, their primary focus was on their customer service team and their client facing folks, which made
Their
sense.
call center at
Their
the end of the
contact
day.
center
Yeah.
primarily, yeah. And we recommended that they get more people involved, and they were like, we don't not really sure if all of our manufacturers on the floor are really going to care. We don't know if that's a good use of time. So let's just start with this group. And we said, okay. And so we went through the process and we created these tools. And the great thing was it didn't take all that long where the other departments were actually asking, why can't we be involved in this as well? Like they're doing great things and they seem to be having more fun at work and they have this sense of purpose. Why can't we be involved as well? So they eventually did make sure that we rolled it out to everybody in the organization and everybody was accountable to it. That's how we normally recommend it. But if you're not sure, then we're going to make sure we're doing what's right for you and your organization. But that's just a great case of the team members from Superior Glove saying, "Hey, we want a piece of this too. We want to be a part of this sense of purpose." And we rolled it out across the entire organization to great success.
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more or having the DiJulius group help you create a customer experience action summit, please reach out to us, and we'd love to talk to you about it. Thanks, Dave, and thanks, Revolutionaries, and we'll see you next time.
All right, bye.